Hello everybody and welcome to another video. So in this video we're going to be going over an article that WarpCon dropped over on the Warhammer community page and talking about something that was kind of sitting in the background for the dawn of the Storm Dragon book that is up for pre-order today. But if you have yet to subscribe to my channel because you're liking my content, hit the button now and help me grow. It would be really good. There's about 72% of you who watch my content who haven't yet subscribed, so it would be really good if we could pull those numbers down. Right, enough of that. Let's jump into the video, shall we? So, obviously, on the build-up to the pre-order today, yesterday, there was a lot of talk and articles around the Dawn of the Storm Dragon book, and there was this article that was put out. Now, the article itself is very good. It's got a nice little tidbits in there and a little bit of talk about the story and the setting and how the Grand Cathay fleet turn up to Marienburg and it's all great and everything else. Pretty cool, and there's some really awesome pictures and photos in it, but there is one in here that has kind of caused a bit of a stir, and we're going to have a little talk about that in a second. But yeah, just like Mao Ying pre-ordered, going to be coming, painting tutorial definitely going to be happening. Keep watching in a few weeks time. But yes, the fact that you're going to be able to essentially have Empire units in your Cathay army. And once I've got my hands on the book in a couple of weeks, I'll be doing a full deep dive of it and how it is going to affect me as a Grand Cathay player. But it is pretty good. I mean, Mao Ying kicking ass out of chaos, pretty cool. But basically, you will see this in the background. This little thing here. This piece of terrain, or is it, in the background. And you will get a better look at it in the next photo. Amazing piece of artwork of a Shingun Lord fighting a Chaos Lord on a Manticore. Very iconic. But yeah, it's this photo here that has caused the stir. Right, and I'm going to get a bigger picture up now. This one right here. Now, this has caused a little bit of a stir on the interwebs because this, in the background, as you can see, is very much a new piece of kit, something. Obviously, in the background as well, you've got the buildings. They're the old plastic kits that the old Warhammer Fantasy game used to have. There's obviously multiples of them has been built. Now, this, for me, is kind of screaming a set piece for Warhammer World. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But this here itself, in the background, the Junker, is what's caused a bit of a stir. Now, there are people speculating that this is a new unit coming and we're going to be getting rules and all this. I don't think that's actually the case. I think this is a display piece for Warhammer World. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But a lot of people are thinking that it is relatively new and is obviously going to be earmarking or teasing a potential new models. Now, we have the rumours, obviously, that there is going to be another Sky Lantern. The Sky Junker, which is a slightly larger kit, has the double balloon at the top. You'll see it in the artwork. In fact, if you actually look at the artwork here, you can kind of see it in the background there. That is the Sky Junker for the Grand Cathay. That one right there. So, we have that already, or at least that's potentially what is going to be coming. Now, looking at this, it is definitely, obviously, got aesthetics that you can kind of work out where bits are from. This bar that goes right across the centre here is a larger version of one that is on the Sky Lantern. You've also got this one here as well, which is probably the Sky Lantern. This very much clearly looks like it has been 3D sculpted and then printed and made. But one of the things that sort of sets it out from a model is it has all of the rigging lines attached to it, which kind of makes me think this is more of a display miniature more than an actual miniature that is going to be eventually released. Now, if you've got access to Warhammer Plus, you will have maybe seen the Mech Workshop sort of series that they do, where they talk to the design team and the studio team at Warhammer World to build the big display pieces and everything else. And in one of the ones that they did for the Null Spire, for the launch of 4th edition Age of Sigmar, with the big Skaven tower that come out the ground, when you look at how they built that, not only is it sort of like a frame built inside and then they build all of the wooden palisade around it, but it was how they did the palisades. They were 3D sculpted and then printed, and then those prints then made multiple molds, and then they just made loads and loads of resin and just cast up loads and loads of them and added big piles of boxes of them, and then they just slapped them together and glued them all together. So they obviously have access to the ability to sculpt things that they need, 3D print it, and then cast them up in resin. Now, one of the main reasons why I think this is probably a display model rather than a new kit or a hint at something new is the actual scene itself. The buildings in the back are clearly the old plastic kits that we've had for Warhammer Fantasy, and I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't been either amalgamated in some way of that and building this structure in the back. But if you also look at what the models are standing on, this is kind of like a pre-built display board, which kind of earmarks that this is probably something at Warhammer World, a sort of display plinth that is done. Now, if you look at the other photos as well, you get the backgrounds and everything else, which they're very good at, but these are probably just a really big hill with this in the background and the trees and everything else. Now, they could be set pieces for the photos, or they could be specifically designed for an actual display board itself. But I'm kind of leaning towards the display board purely for the fact that you have this nice cobbled floor, this sort of what clearly looks like a harbour dock that's being built, and the fact that this entire miniature has got rigging lines all over it. So yeah, I'm thinking potentially maybe, you know, if they've got the file that they'll do something with it, but I personally don't think we'll ever see this being commercially available to us, the consumer, at any point. In fact, I think the only thing on this model that is available to us is these decals, which are clearly the decals that are being up for pre-order right now for the Northern Province. Everything else, including this weird ogre in the background, is already there. You know, we've already got access to this, and that's it. I just think that this is probably going to be a display board, and I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't going to be a new display board at Warhammer World centered around the arrival of the Grand Cathay fleet into Marienburg itself, because this is a big thing. It's a big thing in the lore, it's going to be a big thing in the game, and it's kind of how they bring Grand Cathay into Warhammer the Old World, or Warhammer Fantasy Battle as a whole, and it's kind of a big thing. So I do think that they're going to probably do something, or have done something, to sort of really sort of remember that fact. And I think these little junkers in the background are probably going to be there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get an article in the next couple of weeks, or a video on Warhammer Plus of showing them making this board. And I do think it's a board. And maybe one day I'll get to go to Warhammer World and, you know, hopefully see it hands-on. But either way, that's what I think it is. So yeah, I've seen a lot of content creators talking about, you know, potential new models. I don't think we're going to get any new models for Grand Cathay anytime soon. At least in the next 12 months, I don't think we're going to see anything. I think we're probably going to get lots of little arcane journals with different armies of infamy and the occasional plastic kits for the other armies in regards to generals or heroes. Like, we've kind of just got for the Tomb Kings. I think the Bretonnians are probably going to get one next. The Empire will probably get one. The High Elves will get one. You know, they'll work all the way through, and then they'll get them as well. There'll be small little spot releases, and I think that'll be what we'll get until we start building up to what potentially is going to be second edition. And I do think second edition will come in 2027. I think we're going to start seeing it. I'd be highly shocked if this time next year we haven't already been teased at the potential of a second edition launch box, or even having rumours of a second edition launch box. And I'm going to say this now, for me, I think the second edition launch box is going to be Kislev versus Nausicaa. That's what I think it's going to be, and I think it's going to be a big 2-player box set, like you get for all the other systems. Horus Heresy was a little bit different because it's Marines on Marines, but I think you're going to get 2 small armies in a box with a rulebook and everything else to play Warhammer the Old World second edition, and I do think that's probably going to happen within the next 18 months. So yeah, but as for this little junker, as much as I would love it to be, and as much as I would love to see Man of War come back, that would be kind of cool. I think wishful thinking at best, but yeah. So what I'll do is, as soon as I get my hands on the book, I'll do a video breaking down what I think of it, my top picks and everything else of the new magic items and stuff. I've already had a read of it from other content creators that have shared things. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty excited to get my hands on it, to have a read of the background and everything that's going to be in it. Apparently it's a really, really good story, and there's more lore in here than there is actual rules, which is kind of cool. And I think it's going to be a really, really good book. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And obviously Mao Ying. And once I get my hands on Mao Ying, there will be a full painting tutorial coming for her. Really can't wait. In fact, I've almost finished my first Sky Lantern, which is right there. I've just got the crew in it. I've just got to get the last little bits done. And then I start work on the second one. And there's a painting tutorial for that one going to happen, because with the first one I have learned a lot on how to build it, and how to basically to paint it and everything else. It is a relatively easy looking kit, but it's actually got a few challenges, and especially when you try to sub-assemble it and everything else, it can kind of sort of be a little bit daunting for a first time hobbyist. So we'll be looking at that in that video as well. And I've got a couple of other things planned for the Grand Cathay, a magistrate, a painting video of how I'm going to do my army, my colour scheme, and a few other things. So it's all going to be good. But that's the video. If you are enjoying what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, share, and all of that good stuff. Thought I'd just make a video talking about the mysterious junker. And if you want to support me in any other ways, such as members or my Patreon, it is there if you want to. But there is no requirement if you don't want to. But that's the video. And thank you very much for watching. If you have yet to subscribe. And I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye for now.